Hey guys, and welcome back to LOTR Theory. In today's episode, we're going to explore the origins of one of the more fascinating, menacing, and powerful characters within Tolkien's legendarium, the Lord of the Nazgul, the Witch-king of Angmar.
The one who will lead Mordor's armies in war. The one they say no living man can kill. The Witch-king of Angmar.
The greatest of Sauron's servants, and the leader of the 9 Ringwraiths, the Witch-king of Angmar has a character history ranging thousands of years, dating back to the Second Age. During that time, events which would shape the fate of Middle-earth for millenniums to come would occur. Sauron, disguised as an elf named Annatar, would aid the very talented elven blacksmith Celebrimbor. In the halls of Eregion, they would together craft rings of power. 7 for the dwarf lords in their halls of stone, and 9 rings for mortal men doomed to die. Celebrimbor would also forge 3 rings for the elves, unbeknownst to Sauron, whilst Sauron, in secret, forges his master ring, the one ring to rule them all. After the War of the Elves in the late 17th century of the Second Age, Sauron recovers the rings of power from Eregion, aside from the 3 elven rings which were already dispersed, respectively amongst the elves. One by one, Annatar offers the rings to the lords of men. Blinded by their greed for power, they accept the gift. 3 of these men would be from the island of Numenor. Presumably, the Lord of the Nazgul would be from said island, considering that the men of Numenor, known as the Dunedain, were considered to be wiser and more powerful than the men from Middle-earth. It's the logical conclusion to assert that the Lord of the Nazgul would be of Numenorian descent, just like the mouth of Sauron was, although we cannot say for certain since Tolkien himself never declared it so or not so, and Camul, the second in command of the Nazgul and the only other Ringwraith with written heritage, was not from Numenor. He was an Easterling, connotating that his rank was above at least 2 Numenorian Ringwraiths. Perhaps this is a filler for the writers of the upcoming Amazon series, a huge gap in the story which could settle major canon material, and would be awesome to see the origins of Sauron's deadliest servants. A real missed opportunity if they don't cover it. Accepting the rings of power, the lords of men would one by one fall into darkness and serve Sauron, the Lord of the Rings, unconditionally. After accepting his ring of power, the likely Dunedain Lord would have become even more powerful than he already was. His lifespan would have most likely been extended. Conventionally, Numenorians would live on average for 250 to 300 years. The Witch King, whilst he was still immortal, would have likely had his lifespan extended. We can only speculate as to how old he would have been when he eventually succumbed to the spirit world. His desire for greed and power would have also been exacerbated, and perhaps he could have even led the Black Numenorians, which were a creed of Dunedain men from the northwest laying island who worshipped Sauron and were devoted to him. Again, the writers of the Amazon prequel have literal gold to work with, and they could write some fascinating stuff and potentially alter the way we view the Lord of the Rings. Either way, the life and death of the Witch King is not well known, and a bunch of theories could be made from his life as a mortal. The Lord was much more prominently known for his lifespan as a Nazgul. The Lord of the Nazgul would spend the remainder of the Second Age serving Sauron, similarly to that we witness during the War of the Ring towards the conclusion of the Third Age. After the island of Numenor was crushed from a divine intervention, so was Sauron. The spirit of Sauron would then return to Mordor, leaving his mangled corpse on the destroyed and sunken island. The Nazgul would join him at their stronghold of Mordor as the Dark Lord begins to regather his physical form. This occurs 22 years prior to being departed from the ring, when the ring was separated from the Dark Lord by Isildur with his father's broken blade, Narsil. The 9 would also disappear into the void, along with their master. The Nazgul would only begin to appear when their master also began to reappear, regathering their strength and bodily form together in their stronghold of Dol Guldur. However, the Lord of the Nazgul would come forth much earlier and become the main antagonist of Middle-earth. After the War of the Last Alliance, Middle-earth seemed destined to be ruled primarily by men and elves. Sauron, the Nazgul, and the Ring seemed to be cast into history's shadow, being forgotten in times of prosperous peace. Alas, while Sauron and the other 8 Nazgul remain in hiding, the Lord of the Nazgul would begin undertaking his master's warmongering. He would first travel to the northern region of Angmar and begin developing his tower above the divided realm of Arnor. Partaking in black magic and becoming a formidable necromancer, the Lord of the Nazgul attains his title, the Witch-king of Angmar. Erecting his stronghold and secretly massing an army consisting of orcs, men, and other evil beings, the Witch-king would begin building his legion to oppose Arnor. This all occurred at a time when both the City of Kings had abundant Dunedain monarchies, and neither were vulnerable to existential threats. Constructing his region, he kept his identity secret, for he wisely suspected it would attract too much attention from the men of Middle-earth. In the year 1300 of the Third Age, he would inherit the capital of Angmar, Khand Dûm. Over the next 600 years, the Witch-king would govern his realm and wage war with Arnor. After 861 years of peace, the High King of Arnor, Eärendil, perished, and his 3 quarreling sons divided the realm into 3, Arthedain, Cardolan, and Rudar. Over the coming centuries, the Dunedain within the realm of Arnor would pettily fight among each other and weaken the overall strength of the realm, whilst in secrecy, the Lord of the Nazgul would gather his armies. When the time was right, first he would attack the eastern state Rudar. After the conquest of Rudar, he would then turn his attention to the southern kingdom, Cardolan. Then, there was only one kingdom left to conquer, the northeastern realm, Arthedain. The Witch-king had besieged Arthedain from the conquered kingdoms of Cardolan, Rudar, as well as Angmar. He attacked the final standing realm. Victory was near certain, since the Nazgul had the lone standing realm besieged. Alas, an alliance from Rivendell would travel to aid Arthedain and repel the attacks from the Witch-king. Arthedain, the last standing realm of Arnor, would be spared for now. A few centuries would pass, and in the year 1975 of the Third Age, the Witch-king would strike again. The decisive war for the realm of Arnor would take place, and it would be known as the Battle of Fornost, where the heir to the throne of Gondor, as well as the Elves of Rivendell, would travel to the fraught realm. However, before they could arrive at the capital, Fornost was taken by the Witch-king. Arrogantly, he departed the city with his army and began to attack the allied forces of men and elves. The Witch-king would eventually lose that battle. However, he had objectively won the long and meticulous war. The divided realms of Arnor were all but ruined and ended. This angered Eärendil, the contemporary prince of Gondor, as he attempted to chase the Witch-king, who was mockingly laughing at the southern lord. Eärendil attempting to pursue the Witch-king was stopped by Glorfindel as the Nazgul retreated, and this is when the famous elf declared his legendary threefold prophecy: he will not return to this land. Far off yet is his doom, and not by the hand of a man shall he fall. All 3 of which were fulfilled.
The one they say no living man can kill.
After the Battle of Fornost, the Witch-king's armies were disbanded and he tactically retreated from the conquered lands. His mission was accomplished. Arnor was now history. However, the sister city of Arnor, Gondor, still stood proud and mighty in the south. The Witch-king would turn his attention to the final standing realm of Kings of Men. Meanwhile in Mordor, the Witch-king now summoned the other 8 Nazgul, as well as an army of orcs, and they set their attention to Minas Tirith's twin city on the borders of Mordor, Minas Ithil. Conquering the city, it was renamed Minas Morgul and became the lair of the Nazgul. This angered Eärnur, who by this stage was now the king of Gondor. The Witch-king had invited him to participate in one-on-one combat. Initially resisting, Eärnur would eventually succumb to the bait and foolishly accept the challenge. With a small vanguard, he would depart Minas Tirith and travel to Mordor. Unfortunately, he nor his troops were ever to be seen again. Eärnur had no children, so due to the Witch-king and Eärnur's irrationality, the line of kings was hence ended. The stewards of the city would now govern Gondor, and the mighty kingdom would begin its incremental decline. 750 years after the Lord of the Nazgul entered the realm of Angmar, in order to wage war on men, the realm of Arnor was utterly destroyed and lost, and Gondor's line of kings was ended. This allowed Sauron and Mordor to begin rebuilding their strength, in opposition to the men of the West. Fast forward now to the timeline which I'm sure we're all aware of, the War of the Ring. After Sauron had tortured Gollum, he learned the name and location of where Gollum believes the One Ring to be located. The intel was precise, and Sauron, wasting no time, immediately dispatches the 9 in pursuit of his ring. Departing Minas Morgul, they travelled to the Vales of the Anduin, for the intel gathered from the tormented Gollum claimed that the land known as the Shire was located there. Although, when they arrived, they discovered that the lands had been deserted for many centuries. Wandering about with the location of the Shire unbeknownst to them, they despaired and returned south. Alas, messages had reached the 9, and Sauron was furious. From the Barad-dûr messengers, the 9 learn that Saruman may have information on where the Shire is located. The Nazgul arrive at Isengard 2 days after Gandalf's escape from Orthanc. Saruman shut his gates and conveyed his voice to communicate with the Ringwraiths, asserting that Gandalf was aware of where the ring was located. From Isengard, the 9 begin their voyage to Rohan in an attempt to capture the wizard. The Nazgul don't find Gandalf. However, they interrogate Grima Wormtongue, and from him, they learn how to reach the land known as the Shire. The Witch-king releases Wormtongue, not due to pity, but he predicts that Grima can yet cause great harm to Saruman. The Witch-king was truly wise. All his wisdom was again required, for the Ringwraiths had finally discovered how to reach the Shire. However, capturing Gandalf would be in itself beneficial, for the ring had long eluded them, and could very well have departed the realm of the hobbits by now. This is when the Lord of the Nazgul would order the separation of the 9. 4 would hunt Gandalf, whilst he would lead the charge for the Shire.
There are 5 wraiths behind you. Where the other 4 are, I do not know.
When the 5 Nazgul reach the Shire, they narrowly miss Frodo by a matter of hours. The Black Riders track the hobbits to Crickhollow and Bree, and the Witch-king wounds the halfling upon Weathertop. The Lord of the Nazgul was cunning, and he tactically retreated from Aragorn since the Morgul wound cast by his weapon was set to kill Frodo and cast him into the Wraith world. Just like them, they would have captured the halflings if it wasn't for the meddling ranger who was acting at the behest of Gandalf to defend and guide the hobbits to Rivendell. The Nazgul chased the ring-bearer Frodo up to the fords of Isen, where they are cast away within Loudwater from Elrond's spell. Another very close call in capturing Frodo and the ring. He puts in work behind the scenes and reappears during crucial moments of the War of the Ring. The Witch-king leads Mordor's armies from Minas Morgul and recaptures Osgiliath before the besiegement of Minas Tirith. His necromancy makes Grond, the battering ram used to burst through the robust gates of Minas Tirith, magical, and he was the first to enter through the gates. No enemy of Gondor had ever set foot within the gates of the White City until the Witch-king did, where all fled in terror except for Gandalf. And this is when we received Tolkien's greatest description of Sauron's deadliest servant. The Black Rider flung back his hood, and behold, he had a kingly crown, and yet upon no head visible was it set. The red fire shone between it, and the mantle shoulders vast and dark. From a mouth unseen, there came a deadly laughter. The Witch-king then lifted his sword, and flames ran down the blade. Moments later, the horns of the Rohirrim were heard, and the Nazgul joined in the battle of the Pelennor fields. He added another lord to his death tally, smiting King Theoden of Rohan. The Witch-king was extremely menacing and cunning. After mortally injuring the king, he raised his mace to defeat the king's niece, Eowyn. Before he could strike, Merry with his barrow dagger, which was enchanted with the power to kill the Nazgul, stabs the lord in the back of the knee before Eowyn strikes the deadly servant and he perishes to the void of nothingness. If the ring was not destroyed, it's presumable that after a few centuries or perhaps even a millennium later, depending on whether Sauron was to regain the ring, the Witch-king could have regathered his strength and again caused havoc upon Middle-earth. However, with the One Ring being destroyed during the Battle of Morannon, that was the final demise of the Lord of the Nazgul, the Witch-king of Angmar. The Witch-king truly believed he was untouchable. He alone had prepared the armies of Angmar and conquered the great realm of Arnord. It was also he who dismantled the throne of Gondor, leaving them kingless for over a millennium until the return of the King Elessar. He accurately stalked the Ringbearer all the way from the Shire to the Fords of Isen, and he led Mordor's invasion on Gondor. Aside from Morgoth and Sauron, the Witch-king, in my opinion, was the greatest antagonist Middle-earth had ever seen. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to like, subscribe, and share this video amongst your Middle-earth peers. We are also slowly adding new designs to the merch shop, so be sure to check it out today. Thanks to each and every one of you who have purchased the 99 Problems tee or hood. I hope you're having a great day wherever you are. And as always, my Middle-earth friends, hunt on for watching, and I'll see you on the next episode of Lord of the Rings Theory.
Embrace the power of the ring, or embrace your own destruction.
Renewed